I never thought a parking spot could nearly ruin my life, get my wife threatened, and expose a criminal empire hiding behind our HOA president. But that's what happened. One moment I was just mad about scratches on my car, and the next I was being framed as a creep, my neighbors glaring at me like I was some predator, while federal agents whispered in my ear to keep gathering evidence. All because one spoiled brat parked his Porsche in my space every morning and laughed in my face. I'm Michael Smith, 42 years old, accountant by trade, former mechanic by skill, and for 8 years I've lived in Meadowbrook Heights. On paper, it's the kind of neighborhood you dream of: quiet streets, trimmed lawns, HOA rules that keep things orderly. I paid extra for my assigned parking spot number 23 right by my unit. 8 years, no problems. Until 6 months ago, when a kid named Tyler Morgan rolled in with his cherry red Porsche 911. First morning I saw that car. I thought maybe he made a mistake. Then I saw him swing his door wide open, hard into the side of my Toyota. The sound of paint and metal grinding made my blood run hot. I jumped out, shouted at him, "You just scratched my car." He smirked, maybe 22, wearing clothes worth more than my mortgage, and shrugged. "Oops. Parking's tight. Learn to park better, old man." Then he laughed in my face. That laugh, I'll never forget it. I wanted to tear into him right there, but I kept it together. 10 years of being a mechanic before switching to accounting taught me the difference between an accident and a deliberate hit. That was deliberate. He wanted me to know he didn't give a damn. And when I told him he damaged my property, he flipped me off and walked away. Prove it, old man. So I marched to the mailboxes to confront him. Again noticed his visitor parking pass hanging from the mirror. Yellow. Problem was, this year's passes were green. Yellow was last year. Expired. That pass is no good, I told him. For the first time I saw a flicker of something, fear maybe. But then he muttered, "Mom handles the paperwork. Mind your own business." And that's when she appeared. Laura Stone, HOA president for 3 years, clipboard glued to her hand, perfectly styled hair, those cold blue eyes. "Problem here, Tyler?" she asked, like she'd been waiting for her entrance. Tyler instantly played the victim. "This guy's harassing me." Laura turned on me with that fake smile. "Mr. Smith, Tyler has every right to use visitor spaces." "He's not in a visitor space," I snapped, pointing at my spot. "And his permit expired last year." Her smile dropped into a glare. "I'll handle Tyler's documentation personally. Don't interfere." The word interfere came out like a threat. And just like that, I was the problem, not the kid vandalizing my car. I walked back to my Toyota, shaking with anger, but something caught my eye. Tyler hovered near that Porsche like a guard dog. He positioned himself between it and anyone passing by, made hushed calls by it, scanning the lot like he was being watched. It wasn't arrogance anymore. It was fear. And I've spent my career sniffing out fraud, shady patterns, people hiding things. Tyler was hiding something big. That night over dishes, I told my wife Jennifer. She's a teacher used to entitled kids. "He deliberately scratched our car," I said. "You sure it wasn't an accident?" she asked, calm as always. "Jennifer, I watched him do it." He laughed. He walked away. And Laura covered for him. She sighed. "So what are you going to do?" I already knew. I document everything for a living. Receipts trails evidence. So I started treating Tyler like a fraud case. Photos, timestamps, logs. The next mornings I watched him park diagonally, blocking neighbors. When people complained, he just sneered, "Tell Laura." He thought he was untouchable. But accountants, we're patient, we're thorough, and we don't quit. Days later I noticed something strange. A dark SUV idled too long near our lot, the driver watching Tyler. Tyler stiffened, clutched his phone, bolted inside. That wasn't arrogance anymore, that was paranoia. I started asking around. Patricia Wilson, retired nurse, whispered to me that Laura threatened her for even mentioning Tyler's car. "Harassment charges," she said, eyes darting like Laura might materialize. Why would an HOA president threaten neighbors over parking? So I called my old friend David Wilson, runs a garage now, asked if he could run a VIN check. He laughed. "Funny you mention it. A veteran buddy of mine had his Porsche stolen 8 months ago, been tracking it since. My stomach dropped. I got that VIN number with a little social engineering, pretending I was admiring the car for my son's graduation gift. Tyler cracked open the door. I memorized the number. Hours later, David called back. "Michael, sit down. That's Miller's car. Stolen outside a VA hospital." Everything shifted. This wasn't a brat with a sports car. This was stolen from a wounded veteran. Suddenly, my parking complaint became something much bigger. I met Miller at David's shop. He was in uniform, cane in hand. Told me he bought that Porsche as a symbol after walking again without a wheelchair. It was stolen during a therapy session. "That car represented my recovery," he said, voice cracking. And I knew then I couldn't let this go. But Laura wasn't about to roll over. She called an emergency HOA meeting. I thought maybe she'd try to justify Tyler's behavior. No. She put grainy footage on the projector, me apparently taking pictures near the playground. Residents, she announced, Michael Smith has been conducting unauthorized surveillance of children. Gasps, whispers. Parents pulled kids closer. My heart sank into my stomach. She'd fabricated evidence to make me look like a predator. I denied it. That's not me. But people looked away, doubt in their eyes. My neighbors, the ones who waved yesterday, wouldn't even meet my gaze. Jennifer's hand trembled in mine. Laura was destroying my reputation. But then David stood up. Calm as ever, he walked to the screen. "This is fake," he said, pointing out shadows that didn't match compression artifacts, impossible angles. Professionally edited. For a moment, Laura's mask slipped. People started snapping photos of David's analysis. Patricia raised her hand. "Laura, if Michael was photographing kids, why didn't you call the police?" Silence. Laura stammered something about community safety, but the seed was planted. Doubt. Still, I went home broken. Parents avoided us. The Morrison kids weren't allowed near my yard. That night, someone slashed all 4 tires on my Toyota, left a note. "This is just the beginning." Hours later, a brick shattered our window. Attached was a photo of Jennifer leaving work, the word "soon" scrawled across it in red. My hands shook as I held it. I thought maybe Laura's won. Maybe I should back off before my wife gets hurt. Maybe I was crazy for digging this deep. Then Tyler showed up at my door. Not smug, not arrogant, terrified. "Michael, they're coming for you tonight." Laura found the GPS tracker. "You need to disappear." He collapsed into a chair. Confessed his parents died in a suspicious car accident. Laura became his guardian, took his inheritance, and forced him to drive stolen cars to cover her tracks. "She controls everything, my money, my life." She said I owed her. He handed me a key. "Storage Unit 47. All the paperwork's there." For the first time, I saw Tyler not as the punk who scratched my car, but as a kid trapped in something he couldn't escape. And in that moment, my fear burned away. If Laura could steal from veterans' orphan kids and then threaten my wife, I wasn't backing down. We uncovered it all. Documents showing Laura siphoned money from Tyler's trust, guardian fraud, car theft, even identity theft of disabled veterans. It was bigger than I imagined. David traced financial records. Miller looped in federal investigators. Neighbors started meeting in secret, building a case. Laura, desperate, stormed into my house with 2 thugs, slid an envelope across my table. "30 grand and your family stays safe." I had my phone recording. "That's bribery," I said. She smiled coldly. "Call it whatever you want." Tyler stood behind her, bruised, whispering, "She killed my parents." My blood ran cold. The final showdown came at a Friday community meeting. Laura invited residents, local press, even staged slides showing Tyler's supposed psychiatric transfer and my voluntary relocation. She thought she was sealing her victory. I stood up mid-speech. "Before we talk departures, let's talk crimes." Tyler's Porsche was stolen from a wounded veteran. Laura Stone isn't protecting this community, she's exploiting it. Gasps echoed. Miller strode in uniform, crisp, flanked by federal agents. "That's my car," he announced. Cameras flashed. Laura panicked, shouting about conspiracies, but Agent Smith stepped forward, badge in hand. "Laura Stone, You're under arrest for racketeering, money laundering conspiracy to commit vehicle theft and exploitation of vulnerable adults." The room erupted, neighbors whispering, snapping photos, reporters scribbling. David projected his analysis of the fake video side by side with the real data. Patricia displayed bank records. Tyler, trembling but brave, stepped to the mic. "She murdered my parents. She stole my inheritance. She forced me to drive a veteran's stolen car. She threatened every family who questioned her." His voice cracked, but it was the most powerful moment of the night. Laura screamed, tried to twist it back, but the cuffs clicked shut. As they led her away, she turned to me with a smile that chilled me to the bone. "You have no idea how deep this goes." And then she was gone. That's where it ended. No applause, no hugs, just the sight of my neighbors staring, realizing how close we all came to living under the thumb of a criminal empire. Sometimes the worst crimes don't hide in dark alleys, they hide behind clipboards, rules, and fake smiles. And if you don't stand up even when everyone thinks you're wrong, those crimes keep growing.